and there's fairies at the bottom of the garden, and all these cute things. It's cute till they're 7 or 8. If they're 34, it's a bit embarrassing socially. This is my son. What's he doing? He's looking for fairies. Is he? Okay, we better leave. If you're born...
Dude, he's perfect for a comedian. Ricky Gervais's 28-minute takedown of Christianity, ladies and gentlemen. It's an older video, but I'm not going to waste your time.
If you're a believer in God, if you're a Christian, as many tens of millions in America are,
just like him,
you could see you as poking fun at their religion.
Not at all. How many people thank God every time they say thank God? I don't get offended. Do I?
But you must be aware that a lot of people in America would potentially find that offensive.
What, because I'm saying I don't believe in God?
Yeah, because you're kind of mocking them, you know.
No, I'm not. I'm not mocking them. People's beliefs aren't my concern at all. I certainly don't differentiate between religions either. I look at all religions the same. Unlike religious people, I look at all religions equally.
I mean, yeah, I look at them equally. That doesn't mean all of them are equal in how they act, and I'm sure that Ricky would agree.
You were religious till you were about 8 years old, is that right?
Yeah, I was brought up a Christian. Yeah.
And what happened to change your mind then?
I used to go to Sunday school all the time. I believed in... We got to realise that when you're a working class kid, I came from a very poor working class background. My dad was a labourer, my mum was a housewife. I lived in a poor estate, over here, like the projects. Right? And to a working class mum who, her hope isn't that you become a doctor or a lawyer or an international comedian, it's that you don't die in a barroom fight. And they think the best way to do that is to take on Christian values, which preach immorality, but they haven't got the monopoly on good. This is my point. I'm not a Christian, but I live my life in a good way. And some people say, well, who says what's good is? Well, do you know what? I do. I'm good to people because it's the way I want to be treated. And
that philosophy of age old everywhere, from the east to west, this was common.
I don't believe I'll be rewarded in heaven, but I do believe...
What do you think will happen to you?
I'll be rewarded now.
Well, when you die, what do you think happens?
People who liked me or remember me.
Are you a spiritual person, do you think?
Well, not in that sense, but I get a funny feeling when I see a friend or a mountain or an animal. It fills me with joy. My first love is science and nature, but it's explainable. And just because I don't think that I'm going to go to heaven, I don't think my life's worthless. I don't think...
It's already that. I always think with atheists, because I do believe, and I was brought up a Catholic and remain so.
Sure.
But, I think everyone's entitled to their own beliefs,
absolutely,
whatever they may be. The problem for atheists, it must be so doom and gloom when you get to like 70, 80 to think, well, hang on, that's it.
Oh, of course.
That's the end of everything.
That's right, yeah.
So you must fear death 10 times more than Christians, don't you?
Why? I don't believe there's anything after.
Because it's the end.
But you're saying you believe because the alternative is too terrible.
That's not why I believe, but certainly it's a very comforting thought to think that I don't think it all ends in the box under the ground.
Okay, I can get on board with like not wanting it to end, but like, come on, man. If you don't think that like most people came to believe because of punishment and reward, I think that's being a bit naive in terms of how coercive this religion has become.
I can't help what I believe any more than you can. And it's up to you what you believe in, and this thing about not believing in God, there are 2,780 odd gods. And so if you're a Christian, you believe in one of them and you don't believe in all the others. I think religion's greatest trick wasn't convincing some people that there was a God who was all powerful. It was convincing everyone else that you couldn't ridicule the idea. It's when you get them. I think there'd be more atheists and less faithful if you weren't allowed to teach anything, you weren't allowed to mention any gods or any beliefs or atheism right, until they were 20, I think we'd see a different pattern. The human brain, when it's young, is a sponge. It has to be. It has to take in all the information. It has to trust its parents, its elders, to survive. Without question, don't touch the fire. Why not? Don't go near don't go near the wolf. Don't touch that spider with a red bit. Don't touch that. Why not? Just don't. There is a God. What? There is a God. And if you're bad, you go to hell. Okay? And if that's constantly confirmed, like all the other things, wolves eat you, black widows kill you, fires burn you, if it's given that same level of credence and truth, you're never going to get over it. It's going to be a lot harder to undo that. I think the myths came up, maybe, often as a stopgap to knowledge until we find out more. The earth is flat. No, we've proved now. Okay, the earth's not flat. We were wrong. Okay. But that's not personal. You don't take that personally. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect your afterlife.
Some Christians that are fundamentalists beg to differ. If you deny the flat earth, or if you deny the 7-day creation, you're denying scripture, you're denying Christ, you're denying and going to hell.
And so they often want to hold on to that, right? But only because of the way they've been conditioned. We know it's fun to tell children there's a Santa Claus and there's fairies at the bottom of the garden and all these cute things. It's cute till they're 7 or 8. If they're 34, it's a bit embarrassing socially. This is my son. What's he doing? He's looking for fairies. Is he? Okay, we better leave. If you're born...
Dude, he's perfect for a comedian.
In India, you're probably a Hindu. If you're born in America, you're probably a Christian. If you're born in Pakistan, you're probably a Muslim. That's a coincidence, isn't it? That you're always born into the right God.
That is so... People do underestimate what he just said, and I know because I used to do it as a Christian. I'd listen to William Lane Craig, find every reason to get around this philosophically. Ravi Zacharias, they all had excuses. I heard a well-known atheist use the term excusagist, but that's exactly what it is.
Always, isn't that lucky? I was born into the right God. All those others are going to hell, but I was born into the right religion. I'm going to heaven. It's strange that we hold on to these sort of medieval beliefs. Where did the universe come from? God made it, which doesn't solve the problem for me, because we straight away say, well, who made God? And if they say, well, he's always been around, well, let's just say the universe has then. Let's just cut out the middleman. It saves time. We're all born atheist, and then that gets changed or enhanced. I mean, there shouldn't even be a word for atheism. It shouldn't exist. Shouldn't need it. There's not a word for not believing in fairies, And if people didn't keep inventing these weird, impossible deities, we wouldn't have to go around denying them.
Wow. Do you think it's problematic to live a life based on myths?
It's a matter of degrees. If you go around feeling good because whatever life throws at you, it'll all be okay in heaven, that's great. Doesn't affect anyone. Fine. If you pray that you'll do well at work and then you try hard and do well at work and you believe it was the praying, fine. We know it wasn't. We know the praying was irrelevant. We know praying without actually doing anything doesn't do anything. Praying and then working towards something. Praying to me is like making a list. That's all it does. It may even motivate you. It may even, it's getting your thoughts clear.
Yeah.
Thinking there's someone hearing you and changing stuff, that's something else. But again, it's still not harmful. But if you start doing crazy stuff, because God's telling you to, that affects me. I've got to stop you there. And if someone goes around saying there is a God and bad people go to hell, fine, doesn't affect me. If they go around saying there is a God and bad people go to hell, I'm going to help God send them to hell by stoning them to death. Whoa, he doesn't need your help. He's all powerful. Chill out. God's got this one.
Interesting point about that, though, is I do think the doctrine of hell could potentially, if Ricky thought this through, would be problematic. Clearly, the doctrine is being taught and being foisted onto people who don't believe, or pressuring people with threat of eternal punishment. It literally is a threat. Do you think it's appropriate to encourage people to challenge their own beliefs?
I think it's very important you challenge your own beliefs. I mean that's what science does, really. It doesn't constantly try and prove itself right. It follows the evidence, whatever that is. In fact, it tries to prove itself wrong.
Yeah.
It doesn't sulk. When science thinks something and then it discovers it was wrong, it doesn't sulk because it found that out too. It's a question I often get, that people say, well, you're an atheist. You're closed-minded. No, I'm not. That's a strange thing to say. I think the opposite is true. I'm going to always follow the evidence, whatever that is. And they say things like, if someone proved to you God existed, would you believe? Well, of course I would.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you came before God, would you believe then? Duh.
By definition. In fact, it would be the greatest scientific discovery of all time.
Literally.
Scientists would celebrate. They'd run round. At the moment, we have no evidence for the existence of any God or anything supernatural. Never have. Possibly never will.
Well, when he says evidence, I can already hear the Christian curling in their chair. We have the resurrection eyewitness testimony written in ancient text. If you count that as evidence, then guess what? I got a lot more evidence for you to consider that isn't on your religious worldview. It's other gods that rose, resurrections, eyewitnesses, you name it.
But who knows? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. When someone puts forward a jar of God, we test it for its godliness. And if we find there's anything godly in it, we'll write it down.
Other thoughts?
I get asked questions like, well, what do you think it feels like when you're dead? And I always say, well, what did it feel like for the billions of years before you were born?
Thank you. Like
that. And there's also this strange thing that I get from faithful people.
From the faith.
Why don't you believe in God? Well, that's a very strange question. Why don't you believe in God? Well, you came up with it. Why would I? As to saying I don't know, well, if you're agnostic about God in all his glory and in all his impossibility, you've got to be the same about Santa. You have got to say, I don't know. I want to say to an agnostic, what's your best guess then? Go on, have a punt. In fact, I don't ask agnostic. I don't say to agnostics, is there a God? I say, do you believe in God? Now, you can't say I don't know to that question, because if you say I don't know, you're an idiot. What you don't know if you believe or not. And I had this discussion with someone on Twitter.
I can hear Jordan Peterson going, actually, hold on, give me 30 minutes.
Actually, and he said, well, that's not true, because I can ask you, am I wearing a red jumper? And you have no way of informing your guess. And that's true. But now ask me if you're wearing a red jumper that created the universe. Now I can have a little guess. No, you are not. It's mental. If you throw a load of coins on the floor, no one arrangement is more amazing than another. And it's sort of like they work backwards, because this is what happened. This is what we think is perfection. So we try and we can't get around the fact that it's crazy. We've got two eyes. That's exactly where I put them. These are brilliant. This is exactly, if I was making a person, I'd make it just like me. And it's hard not to think there was a will to it, but there wasn't.
Because anyone who follows you on Twitter, and you have a huge following, they'll know that you are a pathological atheist, and therefore the thought of death is very final for you. And for me, as a good Irish Catholic boy, it's the start of something new and glorious. For you, that's it.
And for me, it's the end of something glorious. So I have to pack it all in. But, you know, I'm not depressed about it. I don't want to die any more than anyone else. And I think there's this strange myth that atheists have nothing to live for. It's the opposite. We have nothing to die for.
You have more to live for.
We have everything to live for.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would imagine you have a more focused attention to life because you think it ends when you die.
I think it's precious. I think it's beautiful. I think the world is amazing. I love people, animals, art, every hobby. I can't believe my luck that I'm alive for these 70 or 80 years. Might be less. Wait, you know, I'm not long for this world. My nan used to say that. She lived till 83. I think it was 40 years ago, I'm not long for this world.
What are you said the things you like. What are the things that really annoy you?
Only two things really, really make my blood boil, I suppose. I suppose in general, as I get older, injustice. Injustice quietly makes my blood boil. Either personal, social, political, personal. I suppose the two main categories are religious intolerance, this arrogance that you think, you know, arguing over whose God is right sort of gets me down a little bit, you know. And I've got no problem with spirituality. I really haven't. That's another myth. And I always try and make the difference clear between spirituality and religion. One is a very personal feeling, a journey, a hope, or whatever, a need, you know, a joy. And the other is an organized body that uses that for power and corruption in many cases. In many cases.
You can see Piers getting a little bit.
And I don't have either, but I suppose I think that when it affects me, that's when I have a say in it. And religion affects me. Religion's very real. Spirituality, it doesn't really affect me.
I find it's an irony, isn't it, when the people that attack you on Twitter for challenging them about their religious beliefs, they show this total disrespect to you for what is your belief. Your belief is you're an atheist and you just don't happen to believe in a deity or a god.
That's why when Ricky said earlier, like, he says he doesn't believe in a god, people get offended at him saying he doesn't believe in a god. You get offended at that. Well, do you get, and I know people who get offended when a Muslim says they believe in Allah, they believe in the Prophet Muhammad. Like, if you don't believe in a god, you're offended. People need to thicken their skin up, it seems, because that's not going to work in the world we live in.
I can respect that completely, whilst choosing myself to have a different belief.
Of course. And
you get very intense on Twitter. I mean, you get into proper battles with people.
Yeah.
Why do you take it so?
But it looks like battles. At home, I'm smiling.
Oh, you always?
Oh God! What? When someone's arguing with me that the Earth is 5,000 years old, yes, I'm smiling. Yeah, of course I'm smiling. You know, the fundamentalist view of the creation of the Earth is rather like an episode of the Flintstones. So I have to laugh at those sort of things.
How does your atheism, which you're passionate about, how does that play with your American audience, given that so many people in America are God-fearing people and probably take exception to it?
Well, they shouldn't. We talked about this last time. Why should they take offence that I don't believe in their God or any other God? And I'd say to them, you know, tell me the reasons why you don't believe in all the other gods, and that's the reason I don't believe in yours. And I've got nothing against people believing in God at all. You know, in fact, if it did make you a kinder person, if you only did good things in His name, then great. You know, but there's the rub. It's when I see some of these religious fundamentalists saying that they've told their 5-year-old children that if they turn out gay, they will burn in hell. That to me is child abuse. That's nothing to do with religion or spirituality. That's child abuse. So that's why I'm passionate when it comes to that.
What do you think of the Republican nomination race, given that some of the candidates clearly position themselves quite deliberately to say anti-gay marriage, all that kind of thing, based on their religious beliefs?
Well, we're back to offence, aren't we? Just because they're offended by someone being gay, it doesn't mean they're right. You know, it's a strange thing that being gay is a choice. No, being gay isn't a choice. You know, I want to go, well, go, you try it then. If it's a choice, have a go. See how much.
Hey, this is good. Ricky, you're the man.
You like it, you know.
As someone who's come to America and been the personification of the kind of classic old American dream of, you know, they take anybody from anywhere and anyone can make it big here. Yeah. They don't really care what else you've done anywhere else. It's like,
I came fat with terrible teeth.
You was a chubby loser. Yeah. And now look at you.
British or huddled masses.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look at him. He's huddled. But no, America's fantastic. It is the land of opportunity. And there's, you know, bits of both cultures that I love and hate. And the wonderful thing about being between England and America, they are both land of freedom, and criticize them all you want, but know that you're in a place that allows you to criticize it.
Yes. Thank you. Well said.
And that's lucky, you know, and that's great, and that should be cherished. And freedom of speech for me is one of the most important things that you know, discovered. I'll fight for the right of it. And even though I don't believe in God, and I don't believe, you know, unlike most religions, I treat all religions the same. I think they're all wrong, not morally wrong, but I don't think there is or could be a God. But if someone said we're banning religion, I'd march to not have it banned, because it's your right to believe what you want. And it's your right to be wrong. And I'll fight for that right.
There are some people who say that to explain existence, to explain life, to explain that we are, as they would put it rather demeaningly, a bundle of chemicals, somehow makes life not worth living.
Why
indeed?
I don't understand it.
No.
I mean,
it's wonderful, even if you can explain it. It's even more wonderful if you can explain it.
There's a magic there. There's a magic to consciousness, introspection, free will.
And the fact that you can say that it's done by nerve impulses speeding around the brain doesn't diminish it in any way.
No, of course
it's still
not.
Wonderful.
Of course not.
Actually, I think it's more wonderful.
I think it is, because it's amazing.
Yes.
I mean, it's magic does it for you. Magic goes, it's magic.
It's amazing that this conscious being, this thinking being that is me, and that thinking being that is you, is actually produced by millions of nerve impulses whizzing around inside our brain. I mean, that is a magical thought.
It's great, isn't it? We're in each other's dream.
Yes.
And even if free will is an illusion, it makes no difference. It makes no difference to us.
I feel as though I have free will, even if I don't.
Of course. And you know, I'd say determinism is sound, but it's when they start making these leaps that then we can't be responsible for our own actions. Well,
fatalism.
You've still got to lock someone up if they're going around murdering people to protect the innocent.
It wasn't me did the murder, my lad. It was my neurons.
Of course.
My genes.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Well, there's obviously a little bit of that creeping into everything. Responsibility. You know, being adult about things. But yeah, it doesn't change a thing. I feel that I make my own choices. And if I don't, I certainly feel like I'm choosing. It's not even worth worrying about. But yeah, it's this thing.
That's a good point. You know, even if there is no free will and we're just doing things, it still gives the appearance that we feel we are in control. We feel like we have agency to make those decisions. And even if you broke them down to a point where you could prove they weren't, it still feels like it. And I imagine the same goes for consciousness and how we're experiencing the world. There's probably a lot there that we're still going to uncover in the future. But I like the way he's like, it really doesn't matter because, you know, live your life.
That takes the art out of something, or the humanity, or the beauty. Why? Why does it? It's strange. And the way they think it's all too good, it's all too perfect. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Why?
Yes.
Why? You haven't seen the process, you know. There's a wonderful thing about Douglas Adams that goes against the intelligent design theory. It's a puddle.
Oh, the puddle, yes.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, you tell the story. I mean,
it's just that a puddle is pondering, and it says, I must have been designed because I fit
so
this.
well,
I fit this hole perfectly.
Yes,
which
right.
is just beautiful. What a beautiful metaphor.
Yes.
For trying to explain evolution and everything. I also, it's funny as well because they move the goalposts. You cannot win an argument with someone who believes in God. Certainly, who believes in an interventionist God. It's impossible. What you've won in the sense that you've tried your best and you think you're right, and they're deluded, but they go away, just as strong. I mean, their best argument, ironically, is that it's just faith.
Pretty pathetic, really, isn't it?
Well, it is pathetic, but they mustn't ever engage in logic. It's like top trumps. They mustn't pick logic on their cards. They've got to go.
Yeah, I know many Christians who go, no, we're driven by logic. Ours is driven by reason. And if you can't prove where logic and reason and rationality and intelligence comes from, guess what? You have none. And you believe in a miracle. And it's like, having a breakdown and have all that understood and know, you just jump to God did it. God's the reason behind it all, which is the age-old, philosophical stance. Logos, reason, all of that. We just put it in the area where we don't know how to explain its origins or its development or whatever. We'll just say the Logos, the God of intelligibility, is ultimately behind it all. And that's sad, because when you actually go to apply reason and logic, they'll just say, if you can't explain where reason and logic are coming from, we take those tools from you, presuppositionalism, and now you have no reason and logic. And it's like, well, you have to borrow from their worldview, their God, in order to use reason and logic, which is like, damn, dude. Ricky Gervais, ladies and gentlemen, there's much, much more coming from him. What did you think about what he said today? Do you also relate to that? I tend to agree. I think he's on the right track here. I'd be curious to hear your particular thoughts. It's a really fascinating thing to listen to someone, especially a comedian so well known, just openly speak about their non-belief in a God. And if you really like this content, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. We're reacting here. MythVision reacts. Like the video, drop a comment. Can't wait to hear what you have to say. And until next time, see you then.